righty, here we are, December 23rd, 2025. It is Tuesday, and it doesn't feel like an ordinary Tuesday only because after today, I'm at least off till Monday. Yeah? Oh, good for you, peaches. And today, I believe, is also a half day. I'm recording this show at about 10:15 this morning. So, again, if you try calling me, I'm not in the studio. Yesterday, when the studio was getting worked on, and I was in the Cannonball 101 studio, and I mentioned it on the air a bunch of times that I was in the Cannonball 101 studio, Jade, Jeff, and Logan were working on the K-Bear studio, and sure enough, they said the phone was going off the entire time, people trying to get a hold of me. And I couldn't because I wasn't in here because the whole studio was just, out of order, right? Luckily, it's sort of back to working. At least we can do stuff in here now. Yesterday was a very weird day. I show up. I could only use the Cannonball studio for like maybe an hour out of the morning before they had to start doing stuff in there too. And then I got pushed to the production studio, which is already out of commission. There's like 3 rooms in this building that don't necessarily work. And I got placed in every single one of them, or I work in every single one of them. It's the K-Bear studio. Well, the K-Bear studio is back up and running. The Cannonball studio is now out of commission. The production studio right next door doesn't have access to different softwares that I need to use to go about my day. So yeah, yesterday was a struggle. I was just mostly, I was mostly being pushed around from room to room to room. And then finally, yesterday afternoon at around like 4:15, the K-Bear studio was back up and running, sort of. Like, I can't access music beds. It's very weird. So, sorry there's no music behind me to really pump up this show. I would say if you wanted to get a hold of me, you could, but unfortunately, that's not the case. We do have an awesome giveaway launching this Friday, so I'm hoping you're ready for that. I won't be here this Friday. Like I mentioned, I will be gone until Monday after today. I got Christmas Eve tomorrow, Christmas Day Thursday, got my girlfriend's birthday on Friday, and then, of course, the weekend. Very excited to just have a 5-day weekend. Again, oh, good for you, peaches. So I'm hoping this show doesn't suck today. If it does to you, I apologize in advance. I'll find some stuff to talk about coming up here in just a few on K-Bear 101. A lot of us dudes have played Call of Duty at some point in our lives, whether it was for a long time or just a short while. Maybe you played like one match at a friend's house. The creator behind Call of Duty, Vince Zampella, passed away yesterday or Sunday in Los Angeles. He was only 55 years old, passed away from a car crash. And what's even worse is that, I used to work for TMZ. I was a PA there. I wasn't anything special. I was just like the guy that would go get Harvey's coffee or get the scripts ready for the live show, things like that. I was doing the grunt work. I wasn't going out there and capturing footage, but TMZ decided to share footage of the actual accident that killed this poor guy, Vince Zampella. The video game world is mourning the loss of him, including me, because Call of Duty was such a big-time franchise back in the day. Still is, but Call of Duty has taken a weird turn. Everybody's been saying that exact same thing. You look at Call of Duty now versus Call of Duty back in 2008, an entirely different game back then. People were celebrating it. People were lining up outside of GameStop for the midnight release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And that was one of the best games of my middle school days. I remember waking up extra early at like 6 a.m. on the weekends just because my friends were also online at that time playing the game. We would play this thing called Michael Myers, and we play that on a fun map called High Rise. I think it was High Rise, maybe even Terminal. Such a fun time. And it really does suck that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 just flopped, and then unfortunately his passing happened shortly after that. So he just saw Call of Duty turn into what it has, and it's now terrible. Electronic Arts confirmed his passing on Monday. News reports say Zampella and another person were in a car. Well, we already watched the footage, so this article is just written before that. They were in a car that veered off the road, hit a concrete barrier, it rolled, and they were just both killed. Very, very, very unfortunate. Got to be extra safe driving around out there, right? That was a bright and cheery break. Let's just play some Mammoth Wolfgang Van Halen now to get our spirits back up. I have to make sure I talk about this on the show today because yesterday at the start of my show at 2 p.m., I stupidly said on the air that somebody had won the Powerball jackpot, somebody in Florida or something like that. But then when Jade, Josh, and I keep saying Josh, Jade, Jeff, and Logan were working in here trying to get the studio back up and running, they heard me talk about that at the start of my show. They looked it up. Nobody has won the dang thing. So yeah, the Christmas Eve drawing for the Powerball now up to $1.7 billion, the fourth largest prize in U.S. lottery history. Wednesday night's grand prize would have an estimated lump sum cash value of nearly $800 million. The Powerball. Imagine winning that much money, $800 million. I would just love $8, let alone 800 or 800 million. That much money, life-changing, absolutely life-changing. I would immediately buy a house. I would immediately sell my car and buy some nicer, customized car. Because, I can't fit inside a regular supercar. I couldn't. Ben from the Advocates, I believe he drove a Corvette for a short time there. I could not imagine me trying to squeeze into that tiny little vehicle. Harvey from TMZ, he drove, I think he still drives a Porsche 911 or not, something along the lines of that. Oh, that thing was puny. My shoes are about the same size as that car. So yeah, of course, I'd have to get a customized car. But then also, people would know I have won the lottery because you can't remain anonymous in most states. You have to be publicly declared the winner of the lottery. So you get posted with your full name and how much money you've won. So family members might come out to get you. There might be that sick, twisted aunt who really does not like you for some reason, and then they find out you won the lottery, so they try their best to come after you. I watched this whole video last night about how if you win the lottery, there's so many different steps that you have to take. You have to be very strategic with it in order to survive. There was one lottery winner. He won, I don't know how much money, but the last person that served him food, all of a sudden, that guy died of cyanide poisoning. And there was his sister served him a plate of dinner or something like that, and that was right before he passed away. All of a sudden, it was never investigated. I don't think. I think they got away with it too. They got all of his money. They got all of his winnings. Could you imagine that? If my sister won the lottery, I'd be so happy for her. I wouldn't expect any cash whatsoever. I know I'm on my own when it comes to money for sure. And if I were to win the lottery, obviously I would share that with my family and my girlfriend and all of that and make sure everyone's safe around me. But I couldn't imagine being publicly declared. I think the guy worded it as if it were like, oh, you all of a sudden have like, there's your bounty of like, let's say you win the Powerball. You now have a bounty of $800 million on your head. And also your face is shared everywhere. You have to like go to this media thing where you get posted with the giant check, things like that. It's weird, right? The lottery is sort of like a death sentence. Again, getting very morbid on this show here. I apologize. It's Christmas Eve, and we've already talked about the creator of Call of Duty passing away. We've talked about how dangerous the lottery actually is. So, I mean, if you all of a sudden win the lottery, if you get a Powerball ticket because of this show, and you all of a sudden win that much money, good for you, but be careful. So I was reading this story here. It made me feel way better about every time I've ever lost something. Air India apparently lost an entire Boeing airplane for over a decade, 13 years. And not like we don't know where it is. It was parked at the airport the entire time, just sitting there, collecting parking fees as well. Imagine forgetting you own a plane. Not a laptop, not even a car, a full-size aircraft right there on the tarmac. Everyone walks past it going, yeah, that seems normal. Eventually, someone finally asked why there was a random Boeing taking up space just sitting there. And that's when they realized, oh, that's ours. They've now moved it, are going to use it for training, which feels like a very polite way of saying, please don't let this happen again. If you've ever felt disorganized today, just remember you did not lose a giant Boeing airplane, all right? Draymond Green seems like the most problematic player ever. He seems just so annoying. He gets angry very easily. I was looking here at TMZ Sports. I guess Draymond Green got into an argument with head coach Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors, and then I think Draymond just went, I'm out, and went back to the locker room mid-game. Yeah, not good. Not good. I expect that dude to be traded at some point in the near future. I was reading something also about how the Anthony Joshua Jake Paul fight, Anthony Joshua then said, I want to fight Tyson Fury or something like that. And I don't know if there will be that fight. That'd be awesome to see. Tyson Fury is one of my favorite boxers only because he's a tall, bald, white dude with a beard that's overweight. Very similar. Can he kick my butt? Obviously. Can I do anything close to his? Can I box like him? No, of course not. He's very talented. He's one of the best heavyweights of all time. Oh, look, another NFL player getting in trouble with the law. Is that a surprise? Absolutely not. 49ers, Brenden Ayuk. I don't know how you say his last name. Cops are looking into his alleged speeding video. It always is funny that you see these NFL players getting arrested all the time. I think there still is that website where it's like, I believe it's how long has it been since an NFL player has been arrested? I don't know what the URL is for it, but it exists and it's out there. Brenden Ayuk drew a lot of attention after sharing a video of himself driving by Levi Stadium, allegedly going 104 miles per hour, and his actions have not just caught the eyes of those online, but also the police. I mean, you can't be that dumb, can you? Well, obviously you can, because he recorded himself doing this whole thing. Obviously, the video is being reviewed, and further details can be provided when available, is what a spokesperson for the Santa Clara Police Department has said. So, yeah, there's your Shot Clock Sports Update right here on K-Bear 101. My apologies. I should have mentioned this giant story for the Shot Clock Sports Update. It popped up yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs announced they will move to Kansas starting with the 2031 NFL season. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are completely unaware that the Kansas City Chiefs don't play in Kansas. They play in Missouri. I think it's very odd that they're downsizing. Well, is Kansas smaller? I shouldn't say downsizing if I haven't even looked up how many people live in Kansas. How many people live in, let's say, Topeka, Kansas? That's their capital, right? I should know that because I was the best at the state capitals game back in 5th grade. Their population as of 2024, Topeka, Kansas, 125,467 people. All right? That's the current estimate as of last year. Now let's see Kansas City, Missouri population. 516,032 people as of last year. So they really are downsizing, but I mean, are they going to put the Chiefs in Topeka? Is there really a place called Kansas City, Kansas? There actually is. Are you kidding me? Who stupidly named that city? All right. Kansas City, Kansas. Who also stupidly named the city Kansas City in Missouri, out of all places? Kansas City, Kansas only has a population of 156,752. So, yeah, they're still downsizing. As to why they're moving to Kansas, I don't know. I felt like they had a great fan base in Missouri. Are they going to become the Topeka Chiefs? That sounds pretty fun. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. The Topeka Chiefs. All right, that's pretty cool. I have mentioned this before on the show, back when I went to McAuliffe Middle School. Shout out to that school, for naming the whole school after Krista McAuliffe, even though she had nothing to do with the school at all. It was originally Pine Middle School, and then it got changed. I don't know what year, but yeah. So I went to McAuliffe, and we would often run around the track, obviously, in PE class, and there was a bakery outlet type of giant warehouse next to the school. And oftentimes you would get this awesome smell of cinnamon rolls and other baked goods, and it smelled delicious. Well, my PE teacher was also my dad's teacher back at McAuliffe Middle School. My dad went to Pine at the time. And so I believe Mr. Hartman, my PE teacher, was like my dad's history teacher or something like that. So Mr. Hartman had been working at that school for quite some time. Well, he said when we were running around the track, or after we ran around the track, he said that before that bakery outlet store was there, that giant warehouse was there, we would often get the smell, the school would often get the smell of the racetrack, the horse racing track. You would get the smell of, just poo, horse poo and smelly horse smells. Wouldn't that be awful? The reason why I'm overall talking about this is I saw this CBS News article about neighbors complaining of overwhelming donut smell coming from Dunkin' supplier in Massachusetts. Some Haverhill, Massachusetts residents want to know what can be done about the overpowering scent of Dunkin' Donuts in the air. Well, here's what you can do. You can move. Like, they're not going to shut down the plant, I don't think, right? One of the people said walking in the area, anybody who's walking in the area is overwhelmed by the donut smell. He goes on to say, my house smells like donuts all the time for the last 2 months. It's distracting and it's heavy. Close the windows. I'm just kidding. I truly don't know. I feel like there could be much worse smells. You know, my former parent, my parents' neighbor, the new one that moved in after the old one left. I missed the old one. The new one came in and started doing a particular thing in the backyard that smelled like a skunk. And it would come into my window, and that smell is annoying to me. I'd much rather have the donut smell that these people are complaining about. So listen to this. There's this supposedly eco-friendly whale shark tour hotspot off of Mexico's Yucatan coast, right? And researchers using drones found that boats and swimmers are basically trashing all the rules meant to protect the biggest fish in the ocean, even when not crowded at all. People are crowding the whale sharks, touching them, getting way too close. Boats are buzzing around like it's a speedway, all in the name of a once-in-a-lifetime selfie. Rules there limit you to 1 boat per shark, 2 swimmers, and 1 guide. And you're supposed to stay well clear of their heads and tails. But apparently no one actually reads that part. Boats spread out. Everyone goes after whatever shark they want, and accountability just completely disappears, which is ironic because the whole thing is supposed to help the animals. And get this, rule breaking increases when more whale sharks show up. Like somehow more sharks equals more chaos instead of better behavior. Going back to my message of, hey, people just don't listen. Right? People just don't listen at all. It's silly. They just don't care. Whale sharks are terrifying. I would never get close to one, even in a boat. I want to stay far away, big time. At least all follow the rules. Okay, how about that? Just a reminder, there is no To Peach Their Own today, only because today it was a half day for us. I talked about it at the beginning part of the show. I want to mention it again, that I'm pre-recording this show. As of right now, it is 11 a.m. So if you've been trying to get a hold of me, I apologize. I just don't want people to think I'm just blatantly ignoring them. So yeah, there's that. Well, I also wanted to talk about this. I love when people try to purposely rage bait. Like, I have opinions, and I will gladly share them on the air, like how Dr. Pepper is my least favorite soda, right? I'm not going to make this whole article about it and post it online and just have the Dr. Pepper fans be like, hey, what the heck? And they start attacking me, or they start insulting me. I never liked peaches anyway, but people are right now attacking sleep tokens even in Arcadia. Like, it's the cool thing to do because it'll get them clicks. It'll get them arguments in the comment section. The Guardian's music editor, Ben Beaumont Thomas, that sounds like a pretentious name already. Ben Beaumont Thomas has named Even in Arcadia by Sleep Token the worst album of 2025. He goes on to say, it's some of the most profound, turgid music ever made with some of the worst lyrics ever. And, of course, you know, the Sleep Token minority in the comments, the Sleep Token hater minority in the comments went, oh yeah, I agree. Great. This guy's spitting, you know. Oh, I'm looking at the comments right now. There's one guy who thinks it's cool to be ignorant, going, who? I love those people, right? They don't know who Sleep Token is, and they follow, what source did I find that from? I found that from the State of the Scene podcast, which, you know, if you follow them, clearly you know about Sleep Token. Of course, the State of the Scene podcast shared that article because they know it would cause controversy. So maybe, after all, I should put out my whole thing about how much I hate Dr. Pepper, because Dr. Pepper has like the same style fan base as Sleep Token does, where if you attack Dr. Pepper, it's like you attacked their mom. You know, they'll get very offended, start insulting you, start just going right at you, right for your throat, really. Maybe I should make the title of this podcast, Dr. Pepper Sucks. I know Victor probably talked about this story. Apparently someone actually took their neighbor to the high court over cat poop. Not metaphorically, not as a meme, actual court, actual judge, actual cat, business. The story is basically this. One neighbor was fed up with another neighbor's cat turning his garden into a literal toilet. And instead of just going to buy a rake or a fence or some industrial strength cat repellent, they went the full legal route, kicked up enough stink to get a judge involved. The neighbors sued because Fluffy wouldn't stop dropping. I can't go into detail about cat business on the air, but yeah, I can't believe they did this. Somebody somewhere is filing paperwork over kitty droppings. That's the universe we live in. Could you imagine living next to that person? It's like living next to somebody who works for the HOA. Oh, that would suck. So if your biggest problem today is not ending up in court over cat poop, congratulations. Your life is objectively less absurd than a lawsuit in high court. Right? It could always be worse for you. I just talked about worst case scenarios. So here's today's actual thing that happened in real life where it could be much worse. It could be like these people in the Seattle area. There was a whole bunch of flooding. Health officials are now warning people that as a result of the flooding, that rats might crawl up through your toilet. Yeah, your toilet, the thing you sit on. The thing you absolutely do not want a rodent popping out of while you're mid-business. Apparently the floodwaters can push sewer rats into the pipes, and if the plumbing cooperates, those rats could theoretically end up in your bathroom. Officials even put out tips on how to deal with this, like closing the lid, flushing repeatedly. I love how they gave out a tip to close the lid and flush repeatedly and trying to get the rat to go back down the pipe or pouring in dish soap to help it slide back down. So if you thought today's weirdness was just forgetting your coffee on the roof of your car, remember, out in Seattle, someone might have to flush a rat down the toilet like it's last night's breakfast burrito. Again, it could always be worse. Let's play some Avatar Tonight. We Must Be Warriors right here on Peaches. Well, today there's been a lot of poop talk. Peaches poop party. No, I don't want to say that. Never mind. I knew those Waymo vehicles would be a problem in Los Angeles. A woman in LA ordered a driverless Waymo ride for her daughter. And when it pulled up, she found a guy just hiding in the trunk, not in the back seat, not roaming around the sidewalk, in the trunk. Like one of those mystery guest surprises nobody asked for. Hey, we got so-and-so. We got homeless Bob in the trunk of the car. She opened the door, looked inside. Suddenly, it's like, oh, great, unexpected passenger. Good morning. According to the video that went viral, the guy was all like, they put me in here, and the car's sensors apparently didn't notice a guy buried behind the back seat before it came to pick her up. Los Angeles police showed up, checked the situation, and because this isn't a plot of like a slapstick movie, they didn't charge him with anything. Waymo called the whole thing unacceptable and said they're working on fixes so your robot taxi doesn't come with bonus surprises. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if those Waymo vehicles came to this area? How many people would freak out about them on Life in Idaho Falls? I think of so many things like that would just really make people here so upset for no reason at all. I've talked about this story multiple times of that guy that was throwing the bird scooters into the Snake River. I don't know if it was because he was frustrated with them or what, but people were calling him a hero for doing so because they just hate those bird scooters so much. I could not imagine a whole Waymo fleet making its way to Idaho Falls, and you get to see some of these old people who don't know how to work self-checkout already try to work one of these things. They get in the back seat, the car just takes off. It would actually be pretty funny. All right, kids, I want to clarify before I talk about this story here that Santa is, in fact, in the North Pole. Well, not right now. Not right now. Usually during the year, he's in the North Pole. Right now, well, as of this morning, he already took off. If you look at NORAD's flight tracker, he already took off and is already making his way to, I forgot what country, but they're so far ahead that, Christmas is almost there for them. So yeah, there's that. So Santa has these helpers that impersonate him that go to all malls across America. Well, this one particular helper, this mall Santa in Sherwood Park, Alberta, got booted from the gig after he slapped a kid's hand for tugging on his beard. I thought that was just funny. They just replaced that mall Santa. I'm just picturing the safety briefing for Santa now. No matter what they do, pulling, poking, asking how the flying reindeer poop, you don't smack a kid. That's rule number one. Apparently, that one slipped through. The guy probably freaked out, was like, I don't want my face to be exposed and ruin this kid's Christmas potentially, because they don't know Santa's in the North Pole and Santa has helpers that go across to all malls of America, that type of thing, you know. He just freaked out and just slapped the kid's hand, and I'm sure that mom freaked out. Yeah. I imagine being fired as the mall Santa. I feel like I'd be a pretty freaky one. I think kids would be terrified of me. There'd be the extra tall giant Santa. I don't know, maybe I would be a good one. Maybe I should get a part-time gig, and maybe I should send my resume to the real Santa in the North Pole and ask him if I could pretend to impersonate him. I already have the beard. I can just dye it white, put on the Santa hat, put on some fake circular glasses. Do I have to pay for the Santa suit, or does that come with the gig? That's something I would like to know. I don't want to out my girlfriend here, but I didn't realize you could watch Instagram Reels or TikTok videos at 2 times the speed if you just hold down the right side of the screen. I was always watching videos at the normal speed. Well, she gets so bored with some of the longer reels that pop up. Our feeds are so incredibly different. My feed is just messed up stuff. Her feed is all like these women going, get ready with me for my fun date tonight. Here's a fun turtleneck, like those types of videos. And it's always some either girl dressing up or cooking or explaining some story that's too long. And so Aubrey will sit there and then she'll hold down the right side of the screen to fast forward through it or kind of just get the 2 times speed gist of it, you know. And I just think, like, how far away are we from getting 2 times speed movie theaters? Because people's attention spans are just so bad. Could you imagine watching, like, Oppenheimer at 2 times speed? I mean, if it's that slow and boring, sure. I would have watched 2001: A Space Odyssey at 2 times speed, and even then that movie still would have sucked. That movie's one of the worst movies of all time. It's one of the most pretentious films to enjoy. I've already talked so much crap on that movie. I talked a lot of trash about Dr. Pepper, that movie in particular. Sublime, of course, made fun of them. I know Howard Stern at the end of each year, his team always puts together a video of everything he says he hates on the show, and they put it out as a compilation, and he'll just say, oh, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this, I hate that. Why don't we have that for my show? Just someone can keep track of how many times I've said I hated something, and we can just make it into one big, nice, hateful video, huh? Nah, I don't want to do that. It's Peach's Pit Party. Catch your breath. It's dark. I just realized the button bar doesn't work, so that means I can't play the What the Headline intro. So yeah, this is today's What the Headline right here on K-Bear 101. China's biggest comic convention just announced that Japanese anime and manga are banned from the event. I'm not talking about unpopular indie stuff. I mean the big stuff people actually know. It's happening right before the show even opens, and exhibitors with anime booths are getting dropped. A Comic-Con without anime or manga, that's like a pizza place saying no pepperoni, cheese, or sauce, just the dough. Organizers are calling it part of this big new Chinese style only theme, which sounds like someone looked at a crowd of excited cosplayers and said, you know, no thanks, we want less fun. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to host a comic convention and you ban the comics and cartoons, what exactly are we celebrating? The alphabet? Is that it? That's today's What the Headline, without the music or anything, on K-Bear 101. Evanescence, who announced a tour with Spirit Box, going to be making their way to, I believe, the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater next summer, I should say. I think that was the case. I don't know. It's on our concert calendar at riverbendmediagroup.com/calendar. I was trying to look here at different things that happened this year, important dates. I completely forgot the co-founder and singer-guitarist Brent Hines of Mastodon. Back in March, they announced they've mutually decided to part ways, Brent Hines and the band. And then in August, he unfortunately, tragically passed away. We lost a lot of great musicians, great people this year. I mean, Ozzy, obviously. I'll never forget how we were just doing the noon hour of Madness and Mayhem, and I just opened Facebook. That was the first thing I saw, Ozzy Osbourne dead. And yeah, it was crazy. We did a whole tribute that day and everything. It was great to do that tribute, and so many people just loved Ozzy. I mean, that was probably the biggest death of the year. Other important dates or other dates to just know about, I Prevail announced that the co-vocalist Brian Burkhauser out of the band. That happened May 15th. Sleep Token, May 24th, scored the first #1 album of their career. Even in Arcadia goes on the top of the Billboard 200. Wild, right? There it is, July 5th. Ozzy Osbourne plays his final solo set and final set with Black Sabbath at Back to the Beginning in Birmingham, England. Man, I wish I went to that show. Yeah, literally a couple weeks after that, July 22nd, dies of a heart attack at age 76. I mean, he had a long, great, fantastic life. One of the best lives you could ever have as a human being. I mean, you're a traveling musician. You're wildly successful. Everyone loves you. And you have a whole reality show dedicated to you. I mean, the Ozzy just overall loved, really. What an awesome, awesome guy. What else happened this year? I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff. I just don't. It's like there's so many things that you just try to think about it and nothing comes up just because there were so many. Let's just move on here. It's Peach's Pip Party. We'll come back after the break with some Black Sabbath. There we go. War Pigs. Then Aerosmith with Youngblood, and then I'll play some Deftones, and then I'll be out of here for the week. Alrighty, that does it for me tonight. I appreciate you like always. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you get whatever you asked for. If it's something as simple as your family getting together or you want a new bike, I hope you get it. Really, I do. I'll be off for the next couple of days. I won't be back till Monday, December 29th. So I will see you then, and I'll leave you with Autumn Keene's Hellbound. Peach out. Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening to Peach's Pit Party, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. Peach's Pit Party is hosted by me, Peaches, a.k.a. Brenden Peach, and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com. Until next time, Peach out.